All right, boys, let's go. Let's talk about the upgrades coming toward divisions this week, because we've got unit upgrades, we have equipment upgrades, and I would actually say that almost everything on this list is niche, but there's a place for all of it. There's fan favorites for everybody. So let's take a look at exactly what I'm talking about now. First up is Elena, who is getting a Master Ability 2, which will give her some extra magic. So we're going, it's 20% here, it was 10% before. And then more evasion rate and some reaction block rate. This is, of course, if we get the same Master Ability 2 that they have on JP. So this is all great. The main reason to use Elena is to be using her as an evasion high attacker, lots of chaining, etc. So more damage, more evasion, and reaction block rate, which is a really big deal. Now, a lot of units have really insane reactions these days, and people are still complaining about it, even with reaction block rate, because at the end of the day, most of the reaction block rate that we see is on specific skills. And if your unit doesn't use that skill, then you're not going to see it happen. So when you have reaction block rate as an actual stat, that is not to be underrated. And that's why it's so good on something like the Dark Ifrit VC that we have. So if we take a look on the global side, we do have the Dream ability, but we're going to get that Master ability too. It's going to buffer up just a little bit. Very exciting stuff for people that play Elena. I don't think this is going to be enough to bring her into this, you know, top tier meta category, but she's still going to be fine, especially good in things like limited, when evasion can kind of shine a little bit, and still obviously very good for PvE chaining and all that kind of stuff. Then we have Velne, who is a selection quest unit and is getting the Transcendence upgrade with more accuracy, more defense penetration. And then Nighthawk is getting a 25% single target resistance. I believe people used Velne or Velne, whatever, in PvE. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but I think that she'll obviously be a major PvE consideration now that she has a single target 25% imperiled. That's a really big amount, very powerful, lots of uses, good range to set this up on the way to a boss, and then to be able to attack with some other stuff that she has. Otherwise, I don't think she's any good for PvP, but that's just my opinion. Let me know, people that have actually used her, because I have not actually built her up to 120 or 140. Obviously, we can't build her up to 140 yet, but I have not used her yet, so that's whatever. But I have used a lot of Minwu, and I think Minwu is quite good even at 120. But at 140, she's going to get more HP, some more spirit. Those are both fine. She already was, you know, decently tanky for a mage type character, just, you know, not to take direct hits, but to be hit by AoEs. But what's happening here is her heal is becoming even more important and more powerful. So her heal now has, and she has 5 uses of this because it got upgraded in the devout upgrades that went around for all devouts, but now it has 80% elemental chain resistance. This is really, really strong for your fire units like Kingmont and Rain to actually be able to take on mono element teams even more successfully. So I'm very excited to try this out and to test this out with Kingmont. Hopefully I get some good results, but it obviously doesn't happen until you've taken a hit, because she won't cast it until somebody needs to heal. But all around, already a good unit. You always, you know, you don't usually see huge buffs for already good units. This is definitely a very nice buff and welcome for her. She's still usable in PvP for sure, especially in things like guild battle where you want to survive for multiple attacks. Then we have the equipment upgrades, and first is the Astrea Aurora, which is the Elena's sword. This was already a great sword for a lot of people because it had the magic boost, it had the light attack, and then some decent stats. It gets more magic now, but also at the +6 category, it is going to give you 15 accuracy. So getting in the mirror match to get more accuracy, really solid. You know, more magic, more damage. Great, simple upgrade. Nice to see. But then we have the Frost Ring, which can go up to +1. And what this does is it just gives you more resistances. So we can see here on the +0, we're at 20% wind. That goes to 25. 15% ice goes to 20. And then the decreases stay the same. Fine to upgrade. These things are really good in specific matchups. Always good to upgrade them if you can. Now, more up to debate is whether or not you want to build this. This is a super specific item, the Power Sash, because it only works for Fist users. And oftentimes on a Fist user, you might use the Brigandine instead, or you just might be using the Genji Glove or whatever it is. But now you get access to a little bit more defense penetration and 4 more defense if you're building that shield version. So I do think that this is a pretty good item. And if you think about a unit like Raldor specifically, I think that he could utilize that defense penetration for sure. Although in Fire, there are ways to build up a lot of defense penetration with VCs and equipment if you need to. But I still think that this is a solid +6, specifically for those that are using older Fist users that have problems with defense penetration. But for most people, you might not want to waste your resources because it will take those extra, again, what do we call them? Let's see here. Heart Quartz, that's what it's going to take. Okay, then we have the White Marshmallow Miniature, which always had a place in terms of being this anti-status effect item, but also a hidden accuracy item for people that needed it, especially when Alex rings weren't rerunning as often and people needed access to that. So what's happened here is we've got a major boost to all of the resistance percentages so that you can negate these effects much more easily. Really good to see, particularly for the confusion. And I guess most of this is going to be PvE in my opinion, but what is sneaky upgraded here as well is if you build the AIM version of this, that the accuracy went up by 7 points. So that is really great to see. If you build an AIM version of this, it actually gives you 41 accuracy. So this is a good item to build accuracy, but also to resist some status effects. Definitely worth having it if you're already like well stocked on your account and you're not really, picking and choosing between what raid items are really important. This one is really solid to build if you're just building out stuff. Build an AIM version, you won't regret it. Then we have the Azure Dragon Armor, which also got an upgrade, which is pretty nice in the fact that because it gives single target resistance is what I'm trying to say. But basically single target resistance 8 at the +6 version, which is really good. A little bit more defense if you build that shield version, but the fact that we can get some single target resistance on our Dragoons is really nice. Part of the reason is they often can get away from us with their mobility. They could be singled out. It's a nice little thing to have. At the end of the day, is this the best thing for them? Well, maybe not, because some Dragoons will use the Alex rings, and then again, others will use the Genji gloves and other pieces of armor. If they can use the Brigandine, that's probably still the best call. I don't even know if Dragons can use the Brigandine, though. I have to look that up. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head here. But I do think that this is a really good upgrade. Like, this is one of the best upgrades we've seen here, just because this is a really important stat, and I love to see it. I think that this item went from like really not having a lot of application to definitely having a much stronger place. The Vital version is also has a lot of HP, but I don't know. I don't know if has anyone built this? Someone tell me. And if so, do you build a Vital or do you build a shield? I mean, I usually default to build a shield, but 1,140 HP is no joke either. So, and then last but not least is the farmable Beast Bane the Avian Bane pendant that we can farm and craft. The reason you would do this is to get 30 bird killer and 20% bird resistance, and then the next time a bird related PvE event comes up, you are able to spec out for that really well and just be super effective against that type of enemy. I can't remember what boss it was but I ended up using the demon pendants that we had, or whatever. I think we had demon pendants, or maybe it was the beast ones. But either way, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, what the hell? I have these things. I can use these. And it was a huge boon. It doesn't come around that often because I don't work on PvE content that much in this game. But when it does, you'll be glad you farmed it. So, I mean, at the very least, it's something to farm. So definitely worth stocking up on these. You don't even have to build them, right? You can just get the materials for them. And then if an event comes, and then you can spend your materials on them. But in the meantime, just farm the materials for them and leave the uncrafted version in your equipment space. But don't forget about it, okay? That's important. All right, so that's all the new stuff that's coming out. I'm probably going to do a power sash for Raldor, although I am going to carefully sit down and take a look at all the options for him before I jump to that conclusion, because you don't want to use your heart quartz that quickly. It's always good to take stock of what you have and what the other options are if you'd rather use other things, but he is somebody that could use a bit of defense penetration, so why not? Otherwise, I'm hoping to see, you know, maybe this is a multi-week event, and I want to see some more transcendence for these global units coming up. I know we didn't get it this week. Hopefully we get it the next week. Who knows? I mean, it's a way for them to get us to spend our resources, so maybe they'll do it. But if they don't, whatever. That's okay by me. You know, I'm just waiting and seeing. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all soon enough in another video.